You're about to send an email you know you'll regret. Your chest is tight, your jaw is clenched, and you can feel yourself about to hit send anyway. What if there was one move that takes less than a breath that could interrupt that whole pattern? That's what we're talking about today, leading from clarity instead of stress. Welcome to the Lawyer Burnout Solution, the podcast for women attorneys who want to move from survival mode to a sustainable, fulfilling lawyer life. I'm Heather Mills, and this is part 2 of our Future You series. Last week was about building the inner foundation, thinking and feeling like future you. Today, we're putting that into practice. What clarity-based leadership actually looks like, how to sustain it under pressure, and how it changes the way you lead. Leading from clarity isn't a management style. It's nervous system leadership, centering yourself first so you can guide from presence, not panic. Future you isn't a fantasy boss who never feels doubt. She's just learned to lead from presence instead of proving herself. When you're centered, everyone around you feels it. That's leadership, not control, but calm that changes the room. Research from Yale's Center for Emotional Intelligence shows that when leaders model calm and emotional awareness, turnover drops and engagement goes up, which in legal environments often means the difference between associates who stay and build careers versus associates who quietly plan their exit. What feels like soft leadership is actually strategic clarity. Most legal workplaces still run on stress-based leadership. Leaders who mistake urgency for importance and intensity for effectiveness. You know the pattern, the partner whose panic sets the tone. The GC's so busy firefighting she never gets to think. Stress-based leadership delivers short-term results and long-term depletion. It breeds fear instead of focus or trust. And if that sounds familiar, it doesn't mean you're failing. It's the water that most of us are swimming in. Clarity-based leadership does the opposite. It calms nervous systems, makes space for creativity, and builds trust. So what does clarity actually look like in practice? Let me give you the most practical thing first. The thing my clients use more than anything else I teach them. Okay, here's something you're probably going to think is too simple to matter, but I need you to try it anyway, because it works even when you're skeptical about it. Before your next meeting or phone call, do this. Stop moving for literally 3 seconds. Feel your feet on the floor. No need to visualize or fix anything. Just notice that you have a body and it's right here. Then take one slow breath. In through your nose, out through your mouth. If you can make the exhale longer than the inhale, even better. Then ask yourself one question. What do I actually need to say here? 3 seconds, one breath, one question. It's not meditation. You can think of it like a circuit breaker. It interrupts the automatic reaction, the urge to jump in, to defend, to fix everything right now. And it gives you just enough space to choose your response instead of defaulting to your stress pattern. And that shift from reactive to intentional is the entire difference between stress-based leadership and clarity-based leadership. You don't need to be calm all the time. You just need to be able to find 3 seconds of ground before you speak. That's the skill. Everything else flows from that. So why does something that small make such a big difference? Let me walk you through what's actually happening when you lead from that place. When you lead from clarity, Decisions start in your body, not your calendar. You can sense the difference between pressure and priority. You pause before you respond. You measure success by alignment instead of adrenaline. Picture future you walking into a Monday meeting. Instead of absorbing everyone's anxiety, she grounds her feet and breathes once before she speaks. Her calm sets the thermostat for the room. Others mirror her steadiness without even realizing it. That's what presence does. It changes the room without you having to control it. And it comes down to 3 things I see over and over with my clients. First, and this one's huge, you have to trust yourself before you communicate with anyone else. That means when you feel that urgency rising, that pressure to fire off an email or delegate something right now, pause. Just pause. And when you do that, you essentially you're grounding yourself first and then speaking. Because when you're leading from a reactive state, it never lands the way you want it to. Second thing, your values have to matter more than speed. I know that sounds impossible in legal work, but hear me out. When you slow down enough to ask, what actually matters right now? That's when you start modeling real discernment. People would way rather follow someone who's clear than someone who's just moving fast. And third, transparency beats perfection every time. Future you doesn't pretend to have all the answers. She can name uncertainty without shame. And that honesty, it builds way more loyalty than any facade of control ever could. And this is the one that I have to work on all the time. Still working on it. So these aren't personality traits you either have or you don't. They're skills you can practice. That 3-second reset I just gave you, that's how you start training them. So let me show you what this looks like in real life. One of my clients was heading a compliance team at a healthcare company. She used to start every day convinced she was behind before she even opened her laptop. Her team mirrored that chaos. Through coaching, she started noticing her triggers, that tightening in her chest right before she fired off an email. And she'd pause for one conscious breath. Just one. She'd ask herself, what do I actually need to communicate here? 3 months later, her workload hadn't changed, but her team was calmer, more proactive. At their quarterly review, her boss told her, I don't know what you're doing differently, but the whole team feels less frantic, more focused. And she's not alone. Another client, a litigator, had her own version of this pattern. She'd walk into team meetings already braced for conflict, shoulders up, ready to defend every decision. Before coaching, she didn't even realize she was doing it. We worked on one simple shift. Before opening the conference room door, she'd pause and ask her future self, how would she walk in? And her future self, the one she described as warm and spacious, someone who took up room without apology, would tell her, head up, shoulders back, breathe. It sounds really small, I know, but within a few weeks, her team started speaking up more in meetings. One of her associates told her, you seem more present, like you actually want to hear what we have to say. So that's the ripple. One grounded leader changing the climate for everyone else. When one lawyer leads from clarity, it gives others permission to do the same. In big law, it looks like associates who stop apologizing for existing. In public defense, it looks like teams who speak up before burnout becomes resignation. In solo practice, it looks like clients finally trusting that you're present with them, not just putting on an act. This is how the profession heals, not overnight, but lawyer by lawyer. I still remember sitting at my desk the night I launched this podcast. 5 episodes queued up and ready to go. My brain was screaming every version of, what if no one listens? Or what if they do and they hate it? I worried it would sound too soft or too emotional, too me. But underneath that noise was a belief I kept practicing. This can help one person. So I hit publish. And then I threw a launch party on Zoom. It was not smooth. Picture a handful of women on the screen, all politely waiting for me to facilitate something meaningful. And me, someone who hadn't led a group on Zoom in way too long, just thanking them for showing up. There were long silences. I stumbled through questions. It was messy. But here's what I remember most. Their faces when I started talking about the ridiculous things my brain and my conditioning had told me, and how much stress and self-doubt that caused, how stuck it made me. They looked surprised, and then relieved, like they'd been waiting for permission to admit they felt that way too. And I realized something. All my perfectionist tendencies were still there, and I woke up the next day with a vulnerability hangover, replaying every awkward moment. But I kept moving anyway, because I'd tapped into my future self before I hit publish. The version of me who's curious, courageous, fierce. The one who leads with her whole heart, who turns what once felt painful into power that helps others feel known, understood, like they matter. I'm not fully that person yet, but there's a part of me now that is. And when I felt the doubt creeping in, I asked myself, what does my future self believe that I don't believe yet? And what I imagined was this belief. All that pain you went through, the self-criticism, the doubt, the feeling stuck, that can be turned into something useful for others. They don't have to go through it alone like you did. I believed that was true, but I didn't yet believe that sharing it publicly on a podcast could help. I couldn't believe it yet, but I could imagine my future self believing it. And that was enough to keep me going, imperfect launch and all. That's what becoming your future self actually looks like. It's not waiting until fear disappears. It's moving forward with the fear because you believe in the work a little more than you believe the doubt. The more you let that version of yourself show up imperfectly, the more the world around you shifts. Imagine a generation of women lawyers leading this way, showing up even when it's awkward, moving forward even when they're not sure they have it all figured out, choosing presence over perfection. That's how transformation scales, from one nervous system at a time to the culture of law itself. Courtrooms could sound different. Negotiations could sound less tense. Younger lawyers would learn that confidence and kindness can coexist, and that you don't have to wait until you feel ready to start leading differently. Leading from clarity doesn't mean you never feel stress. It just means you don't let stress make all your decisions. Each time you choose calm over control, or compassion over hustle, or honesty over hiding, you're showing the world a new way to lead. If you're ready to lead from calm instead of crisis, book a free stress reset call at heathermillscoaching.com/call. We'll uncover the beliefs keeping you stuck, often some version of I'm not good enough, and start seeing them differently. That's where calm begins. And one more thing, if this series has been helpful or this episode has been helpful, please rate the podcast. It's the single most effective way to help other lawyers find it. And right now there are women attorneys out there searching for exactly this kind of support. So thanks for being here today. What you're building here changes things. It changes how you practice and how others feel around you. So take care of yourself this week and keep noticing where that calm version of you shows up. I'll see you next time.